All right, let's get this thing started. First off, anybody besides the brothers I already spoke with that's not a trooper or officer want to report for roll? All right. Not a trooper or an officer. All right, got you. All right, anybody any questions? Nobody got no questions. All right. Let's see here. See where we want to start at today. First thing is, let's kind of go over a little bit about what we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. We went over the women's scriptures. Then we went over marriage. We went over divorce. All right. What we're going to do probably next week, Lord allow, is we'll go into the whole multiple wives and all of that. So we'll take a little break this week. They got the library closed because of something called Veterans Day. And they showing love to all the people who fight in Esau's military. And you know, in here, what we do is we show love to the men that fight in the Lord's army. We show love to the men that stand up and go against the grain and do what we supposed to be doing and trying to raise up this nation under our King Yahushua. We also had a lot of people talking about voting. Here in the ISUPK, we don't vote. We believe in a dictatorship. We believe that the Lord chooses the king and everybody must follow under that. And our king has already been chosen. His name is Yahushua Mashiach in the Hebrew, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. All right, so let's do this. This is Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge. We started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, back in 1969, now under commanding General Yohana. I am Priest and Officer Kazak Damar, and we're going to get into it. This is the 101 class where we teach the basics of what we teach here in the ISUPK. Make sure you got all of that before you move any further. All right, so somebody go ahead and go to 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 2. 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 2. Let's go ahead and get it.
First Corinthians chapter 3, verse 2. I have fed you with milk and not with meat. For hitherto, ye were not able to bear it, neither yet now are you able.
All right, so this is Paul talking to the Corinthians. He said, the people that's in Corinth, they Israelites, but they basically living as Corinthians. And Paul is talking to them. He says, I have fed you with milk and not with meat. And Paul wasn't trying to give them the extra heavy stuff, even though he was naturally like that because he was raised under Gamaliel. He was raised by a Pharisee. He knew the law better than a lot of people. He also knew the spirit of Christ because Christ came to him, and after he had been tormenting the men that was following Christ and killing them, Christ came to him and told and laid something on him kind of heavy that changed his whole thing. Well, as he's giving it to them, though, he can't give them everything because everybody ain't gonna understand everything, right? He's saying, I have fed you with milk and not with meat. And the metaphor with that is, like Christ said, you have to become as one of these babes if you're going to understand the Bible. If you're going to understand the things that's in this book, what you have to do is you have to humble yourself to the point where you're a child and you don't know nothing. You have to forget everything you already knew, and you have to be willing to learn it all again. All right, so he said, I fed you with milk and not meat, for hitherto, meaning up until now, you were not able to bear it. All right, you were not able to bear the real deep things that's got something to do with this truth. You didn't understand. Like, somebody would have told you in your own little Christian mind that God don't love everybody when you have heard all your life that he do, then you would have felt like somebody was lying. Right? You got to get the basics of who God loves before you can understand why he don't love everybody. You got to get the basics of the Lord chose somebody before you can understand why he don't love everybody. Because everybody ain't friends. It ain't kumbaya and all of this other stuff. But if you don't understand them, then you can't even get to that point. You can't even understand like the spiritual things of somebody being born again. You might be like the Nicodemus, or who was he talking to when he said you got to be born again? And he was like, well, what am I supposed to go back up into my in my mother's womb? And he was like, nah, he's talking about something totally different. You don't even get the basics, so it's kind of hard for me to explain it to you. So what we do here is we start at the beginning. We start with the teachings that, first of all, the Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, predominantly in North and South America, and are the real biblical Jews, the true children of Israel, and that this Bible is our historical records. This is of a real people. This ain't no made up, spooky, all of this other stuff. This is things that happened, and they were documented in our history. Nobody can teach you what happened to your people before slavery. Nobody could tell you what was going on prior to the slave trade, and they don't want you to know, because then you'll find out that before all of that, well, that wasn't the first time that we were in bondage. We were taken in bondage throughout different areas, and everywhere we went, and every great nation that ever dominated in the world, the Israelites was at the bottom, building their buildings, working on their farms, supporting and taking care of their kids, different things like that, all the way from Egypt to Babylon to Persia to the Medes to Syria, and so on and so forth, all the way up to in Rome and America today. All right, so everybody understand that. Paul was saying, I ain't taking you deep. I ain't trying to give you, I'm giving you this milk, the basics, because you wasn't able to understand it, and neither are you able now. You come in this truth and you've been in here for a while, you start thinking you know everything until you are officer and somebody asks you a question. You're like, well, I don't know if I know the answer to that question. Then you got to go, and then you have to humble yourself and go to some man that's been doing it longer than you, or that has the answer. All right, so that's what we do here every Monday night. Everybody understand, right?
Oh, okay.
All right, somebody had a question? Anybody got any question? All right, let me see where I want to go. I had a couple topics that I wanted to dive into. I don't know if I want to hit the virgin birth tonight. We might save that one a little bit later. Let's go ahead and do this. Give me Proverbs chapter 3.
Shalakia.
Go ahead.
You're going to keep putting in.
What's going on, Keith? You all right?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I don't want yourself.
I'm too wild. You have a question?
Not right now.
All right. Let me get Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 3. Let's go ahead and get it cracking. Oh,
That,
start at verse 1. Start at verse 1.
Proverbs chapter 3, verse 1. My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall thine add to thee.
All right, so this is Proverbs, right? And this is the Lord speaking to his son Israel. And this is the same thing you tell your son. The same thing David told his son and Solomon told his son. My son, forget not my law. Meaning, it ain't going to come a time. It says, till heaven and earth pass away, the law was going to stand until then. And the last time I checked, heaven and earth was still here. So forget not my law. Don't never say that this law is done away with. We don't need it. This is our way of finding out what sin is. Let thine heart keep my commandments. Meaning, you remember, whenever you see that word heart in the scriptures, that's talking about your mind. Let your mind keep the commandments. You keep the commandments in your mind. You learn them. As it says, should be taught to your kids and different things. You recite them and write them on your mind. That's what it's talking about in the Bible. It's talking about you making sure that you understand and know these laws. How you going to follow a law you don't even know? You didn't know that the law, you had to keep the commandments, so you wasn't eating the right way. You wasn't treating your brother the right way. You wasn't treating your wife the right way, or your husband or your sister or your brother, because you didn't know the laws. This whole law is about brotherhood. So if you learn the spirit behind the law, then you understand the laws a little bit better. Can everybody hear me clearly? All right. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add unto thee. Who is the they? For length of days and long life and peace shall they add unto thee. Somebody tell me who the they is. Go ahead.
The Israelites who's keeping the laws.
Somebody else. Go ahead.
They would be the laws.
The laws are the they. The commandments and the laws, that's the they. So it says, for length of days and long life and peace shall these commandments add to thee. How will the commandments add this unto thee? How will the commandments add long life and peace and length of days? Go ahead.
So if you keep the commandment, you will receive the blessings from the Most High, which is, rulership and, long life and, everything that comes with the promises from the Most High.
Because that's a promise with the law from the Most High. The blessings that come with keeping these, the Most High is going to bless you, and that's going to give you life and length of days. Just imagine how much time we take off our life slaving and serving other nations. How much time we take off our life sinning and destroying our temple. How much time we take off our life doing all type of things that the Lord said not to do. Well, not being on dope will help extend your life. Not having high blood pressure from eating things the Lord told us not will help extend your life. Not sleeping with all type of crazy whores and different things like that will extend your life. Everybody understand, right? All right, verse 3. Let's get it.
Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck. Write them upon the table of thine heart.
So let's stop right there. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. When it say let not mercy and truth forsake thee, this is talking about your actions. That means you are the one who's showing mercy. You are the one who's walking and living and speaking the truth. So they're not going to forsake you. You going to forsake them by lying, by not showing mercy. Everybody follow me? These are not things that's going to get up and run away from you. The truth ain't running from you. The truth has been here the whole time. You've been running from the truth. Showing your brother and your sister's mercy, that ain't running from you. You don't want to do it because it requires you to think about somebody else besides yourself. So this is what the proverb said, let not mercy and truth forsake thee. And this is how you do it. Bound them about thy neck. You wrap them around your neck. And that means you take them with you everywhere you go. You ain't going nowhere without your head. Write them upon a table in your heart. And remember, I just said it. If you see heart in the Bible, that's mine. So you write them down in your heart. You have these as precept books in your mind. Like, I cannot let the truth, I cannot let showing my brother mercy forsake me. All right? Go ahead to verse 4.
So shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of the power in man.
Read that again.
So shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of the power in man.
So shalt thou find favor, right? Favor. What's favor? Somebody tell me a good way to explain favor.
What?
Go ahead.
Would that be like chosen?
I guess you could say that.
Shall I?
Give me a better way to say it. Go ahead.
Grace.
Having
to take a chance to do.
Yeah, but we ain't even got to there. When it's like, all right, let's say me and you both going to try to get a particular job, right? But the person know you that's hiring, and he shows you favor. What is he really doing? Favor and favorite. What is he doing? Go ahead. All right, yeah, y'all breaking it down, but it's a little bit, it's like extra. What he's doing is showing you that he prefers one of these people to another. He prefers you to me because he know you. That's why the Lord said, you only have I known out of all the, we have favor with the Most High. When people talk about favor of the Most High, it comes with Israel, his chosen people, the people he chose, right? He separated the 18 nations. He could have chose anybody. You only have I known. So what it's talking about finding favor, that means if you keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments, you showing your brothers mercy, you got this thing down and you writing it in your mind the way the Lord tells you, these are the things that lead to long length of days, long life, peace, favor, and good understanding. A lot of people can hear these scriptures and they can hear you teaching and they don't get it. A lot of people will say, well, the Lord still, they'll hear the same breakdown you heard. They'll walk past the camp and they'll be like, man, I still believe the Lord loves everybody. Right? They'll still believe that heaven is a place that you die and go when they're looking at the white man in his heaven right now ruling over us and we having to slave for him. They'll still believe hell is a place that they don't get it. They don't have good understanding. They don't have the favor of the Most High. Remember, it's not to him that winneth, nor him that runneth. It's the Lord that showeth mercy. Who can understand this thing? Christ told him, he said, it's given unto you. Thank God it's given unto you to understand the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. But it's not given unto them. So don't just think just because you get it that everybody's supposed to get it. It's not for everybody. It's for the people that not my law and let their heart keep my commandments. It's for the people that have mercy for their brothers. It's for the people that's in the truth. Y'all follow me? So shall I find favor and good understanding in the sight of the power and in man. So not only is the Most High going to show you favor, but man is going to have favor, and you're going to be his favorite. You'll hear stories in this truth about brothers who do not deal with devils outside of work, who don't go overboard to be liked and do all of this other stuff, and still receive favor and good things in Esau's kingdom. Most High said, if you keep my commandments, even your enemies will be at peace with you. He'll turn your enemies into your footstool. All that is what it's talking about. You got to serve the true and living God who made heaven and earth, and everything else falls into place. You don't believe me, do you? Read verse 5.
Trust in the Most High with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding.
Trust in what the Lord said. I know you don't understand why you can't eat lobsters. I know you don't understand why you can't eat shrimp, why you can't have ribs, why you can't, deal with any type of woman or have sex with white ladies or Chinese girls or Asians or whatever you like, why you can't smoke weed, why you can't sell dope. These are the things that we were brought in our society to think was good. You living lavishly. That's why all the ball players and all the football players, they get them a little money. They go get them a white girl. They eating shrimp and lobster tail, and they got the best drugs in society that money can buy. They got all kind of whores and different things. They do everything against what the Lord said. Why is that? Why is that? Because they are learning the ways of the heathen. They trying to be like the other nations instead of trying to be like the people that the Lord chose, the people that the Lord said He gonna give favor to. And this is why no matter how much money they got, white men still hate them. They can't keep no type of relationships together. They can't build nothing. They got a nasty, disgusting whore that's their baby mama who gonna try to take all their money in court and don't care nothing about him seeing the kids. He ain't gonna get to rule over his household. He got money. He can't even rule over his household because he ain't got the favor of the Lord. He ain't got the understanding. So this is saying trust in what the Lord said. These laws, statutes, and commandments that's laid down, this history that's in this book that we call the Bible, that's what you're supposed to trust in. If it said in here, then it's the truth. If a man said, it's not the truth. Scripture said, let God be the truth and every man be a liar. I'm paraphrasing. Well, this scripture is saying trust in what the Lord said with all your mind. Don't lean to your own understanding. Sometimes people be like, I think. Do you think or do you know? How do you know? If the Lord said it, you know. You can rest assured. Lean not to your own understanding means that I came in here with a certain mindset of when I did some personal studying on my own, and I thought that I knew better than the priests and prophets of the Lord that's been in here teaching the same thing since 1969. Now, I done came up with this in the last couple of years, just me watching internet videos and Googling stuff and reading the Bible and thinking I know the scriptures, leading to my own understanding. It's right here. You ain't supposed to do that. The Lord has given men instructions, given men the truth all the way since when Christ walked the earth to come and to make this thing plain. It ain't got to be deep. It ain't got to be heavy. Understanding. So why are you going to try to give yourself understanding? What you're doing is you're making yourself the smart one. It's a lot of people want to debate. It's a lot of people that want to be in the arenas where they trying to prove that they know something. They want to prove they know something, right? What the Bible say about that? Somebody know? Give me the precept. Y'all with me tonight? Go ahead.
I think it's in Matthew chapter 6. They talk about the ones who pray in front of everybody. They want their attention, the vain repetition.
What they got to do with what I was talking about?
Because it's really vain. Things that they're doing is really vain and really mean. Something they want to show. They have.
Yeah, you're right on that. You're right on that. But what I'm talking about, okay. What I'm talking about is where it say lean into your own understanding, right? You ain't really trusting in what the Lord. So let's say these men of the Lord been living and been in the truth way before I have, but I've been reading my Bible. I think I know something, and I come in here and they tell me something. Like, I give you an example. Some stuff was easy for me to understand, like you got the laws not done away and all of that. But when they started talking about Paul was teaching Israelites and the Gentiles that was in there was Israelites, that was probably one of the last things. That and weed. I was like, man, ain't nothing wrong with weed. Those was like the last two things in the truth that I actually could just flow with, and I had to get more understanding on it. All right, they right about this, they right about that, but when it comes to these Gentiles, I don't know about that. When it comes to weed, man, ain't nothing wrong with weed. Why do y'all think that it was like that? Anybody? Go ahead.
So the original question, I was wondering if this precept would be good to you. It's in 1 Corinthians chapter 18. I'm sorry, chapter 3, verse 18.
We'll go there. I actually was looking at another one that was in 1 Corinthians. We'll go there, but I want somebody to answer the question where it say lean not to your own understanding, right? And I was talking about somebody who wants to come in the truth, but still, like, I'll give you an example. Me and Officer Shawar talked about this too. He said when he came into the truth, it's like it's like the scripture say you've been tossed to and fro with different doctrines, right? Y'all familiar with that scripture where it say you've been tossed to and fro with different doctrines, and you come into the truth. Now they saying the same thing that they told you in church, same thing that the Muslims were saying. We got the truth. We know what this is all about. We gonna explain it to you if you just follow us, this, that, or the other. But what separates it, right? What I'm saying is, why is there so many different things going on? And what does this? My original question was, what does the scripture say about somebody who wants to debate everybody, who knows everything? Remember, when we first started this class, we went over these things where you got to be like a baby. You got to desire the milk. You got to go back. Christ said, if you can't become as one of these little ones, you can't enter into the kingdom of heaven. So how you going to come in? You know everything. You want to teach the teacher. You know what I'm saying? You smarter than the people that's been in here changing their life before you even decided to change your life. You just found out you was an Israelite yesterday. It's just no different than people who want to be a pastor in the Christian church, and all they know is John 3:16. They don't know anything else. You start talking to them about Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and who Christ was and what was his lineage, and they don't even know it. It's right here in the Bible. My question was, let me ask it again. What does the scripture say about those type of people? And I want the precept. Now, the Shock said he had a precept. Go ahead and read your precept out.
You want me to go ahead and read that one?
Con.
Oh, con. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 18. Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool that he may be wise.
You see that? What does that mean, though? If any man that seemed to be wise, let him become a fool. Does that mean he has to actually be dumb? Does that mean he got to actually be a fool? What does this mean? Somebody break it down. Not the officer that read it. Brother, I can barely hear you. Who is that? Mashamar?
I was thinking, I got something, maybe, maybe not.
That's all right. We in class. Go ahead. Shoot your shot out.
Just saying, like, if you try to use your own understanding based off, because everybody's understanding comes from their experience. And if you out there experiencing stuff, you're going to speak on the understanding that you got based on what you went through. But our understanding can't be compared to the Most High's understanding. So when you go off and doing your own understanding,
yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to give it to y'all the way that Officer Shawar gave it to me. You own it. You own it, right? All right. We got thousands and thousands of years of records of Hebrew Israelites, records of the people of God, right? Going back thousands of years. And it'll tell you what happened to Adam, how he fell. What did Noah do wrong? What did Moses do wrong? What they did to Christ. How we was living up under this. What the children of Israel did. It tells us the good and the bad. So we know what to do right and we know what to do wrong, right? Leaning to our own understanding and doing is basically pride. And you got to understand that pride, the Lord does not deal with the proud. That's what the scripture said. It's all about your pride. Like the brother said, it's vanity. Like he's saying, like the trooper Marshamar was saying, you done been through some things in your life in your 30 years or 25 years or 40 years or 45 or however old you is. You'd have been through some things, but it's not going to be more prominent or it's not going to be better than the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that's in this Bible. It's not. It's just too many brothers that live. These brothers was living 500 years, 900 years, 100 years, 99 years, 80 years, all of this other stuff. And you got the records to their life or the things that happened to them and what was going on and how did they live that long and what were they doing and all of this stuff in your fingertips. You even got to have a book. You can Google it. You can look it up online. It's right here. And you telling me that your wisdom is better than this? With the precept the brother pulled, he said it says in order for you to get it, you got to become as a fool. In other words, you got to know you don't know nothing. It ain't telling you to be no fool. It's saying you have to look at yourself like you don't know nothing. That's what Christ was talking about when he said you have to be as one of these babes or you can't enter it. If you already know everything, how is he going to teach you the truth? How can I teach you the truth when you already know everything? And everything you know is a lie. Read it again, Nashak.
1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 18. Let no man deceive himself.
Deceive you? Do it say let no man deceive you? That's what Paul usually said.
Oh, God.
What it say?
Let no man deceive himself.
That means you lying to yourself. You lying to yourself. Ain't nobody trying to tell you you smart. You trying to tell yourself you smart. Ain't nobody trying to tell you you know everything. Ain't nobody trying to puff you up, gas you up. You gassing yourself up. You puffing yourself up. And the scriptures say, let no man deceive himself. You telling yourself a lie. Go ahead.
If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world.
Stop right there. I tell this story all the time. Captain Katazai had come into the truth. Me and him used to talk all the time on the phone about doctrine, all the way from the Anunnaki aliens to fallen angels to all of this. I learned I was a Hebrew Israelite from a fake Israelite group. He learned, I'm not sure if it was from a fake Israelite group or not, but long story short, he ended up coming into the truth, and I was not. And I was watching videos of ISUPK and GOCC and IUIC and AOC and all these different groups or whatever the case may be. And I didn't understand the Bible, but I thought I was learning so much, right? And one day I saw a debate. It was Seti, Sarah Suit Seti, and Polite. And they was debating, was the white man the devil? And I already thought it was hands down that our people already knew this, and that Seti was, I was familiar with Seti, but I had never seen Polite. And Polite, with the way he articulated certain things, I thought this brother was cold, like as far as on how smart he was and the words he was using, the language and all of this other stuff. I hadn't seen that like that in black debates before. I thought the brother was smart. Then he came up and debated Captain Tazariak on was the God of the Bible a woman or whatever the case may be. And every single time the brother tried to go into some great big words or whatever the case may be, Captain Tazariak would cut him with the simplest stuff, and it would cause him to have to think about how he wanted to come around. Like if you're going to go into articulating all this big thing and the sun is 3,000 miles away from the earth and this and that and all of this other stuff, and then a brother coming back to you, well, how is that going to get black people off crack? How is that going to get our sisters off the stripper pole? How is that going to get us to understand brotherhood? How is that going to cut down AIDS in the community? All of these different things with all of this wisdom. Man, remember the scriptures say the wisdom of this world is foolishness, right? I thought this brother was so smart until the simplest questions confounded him. Everybody follow me? I came into this truth 4 years ago. I had just graduated from college, cum laude in information security for like a technical field, learning computers and all this other stuff. Ran circles around Esau in the classroom, did all of that. I come into this truth thinking I'm smart. I remember every single week, Officer Shawar would say, it's not about how smart you are. This thing right here that we dealing with is spiritual. It's spiritual. And if you don't get that, you can take your smart behind somewhere else. You understand? It's people that respect smart people. But this is the knowledge and your understanding in the sight of all nations. The wisdom of this world is foolishness. If you can't come in here and learn how to keep these commandments, how to treat your brother, how to treat sisters, how to treat your wife and your children and raise them up in the admonition of the Lord, all your smart is for nothing. That's what he's talking about. Learn how to be dumb. How you that smart and you can't even learn how to shut up? You can't even learn when it's not your turn to talk. How to respect a brother who's trying to show you something. This is what this scripture is all about. So if a man around you, he seemed like he's so smart and all of this other stuff, what does it say in the scriptures? Read it in the shop.
God. If any man among you seem to be wise in this world, let him become a fool, that he may be wise.
Let him become a fool that he may be wise. Let him humble himself. Let him let this truth take precedence over what he think he know. Let me tell you what's more important. It's more important thou shalt and thou shalt not than E equals MC squared. Thou shalt and thou shalt not is way more important than the archaeological, technical, this, that, or the other, whatever words you, way more important. If you learn thou shalt not, the wisdom of this shall help you. Now that's the one the brother came up with. Give me 1 Corinthians 8:2 real quick. 1 Corinthians 8:2. Same Paul talking to the same people, just in a different time. All right.
1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 2. And if any man think that he knoweth anything, he knoweth nothing.
If any man think hold on. If any man think he know anything, you think you know something, don't you? You think you smart, don't you? You got it all together. If any man think he knows anything, he knoweth nothing. What was that Greek philosopher or whatever? He's like, is it Aristotle or one of them people like that? And he was like, all I know is that I don't know nothing. One of them people came to that conclusion. This is one of the Esau people that they claim is so smart. After all his findings, right? He don't know nothing. That's all he came to. Go ahead and keep reading now.
If any man think that he knows anything, he knows nothing, yet as he ought to know.
He don't know what he's supposed to know. He don't know what he need to know. That's what he knows something, but he don't know what he need to know. This what you learn in these classes is what you ought to know. You understand? Now let's go back to where we was at. I just wanted to pull on 2 precepts real quick. We was at Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5. It said, trust in the Most High with all thy heart and lean not to thy own understanding. Go ahead and read verse 6 out.
Oh, God. In all thy way acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path.
Who is the he and the him? Who is the he and the him in this? Go ahead.
Okay. So, in all thy way acknowledge him is the power, the Most High.
The Most High, Yahweh in the Hebrew. Right? Acknowledge him. What does it mean to acknowledge him? To say, oh yeah, I know there's a God. Now people got that running joke there. There's a God somewhere. What does it mean to what does it mean to acknowledge him? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, to acknowledge him means to know that his ways, his laws are the only way to get by life.
The acknowledge him is to obey his words. Obey his commandments. To acknowledge him is to know who you are when it comes to him. If you're a heathen, you know that you are a drop in a bucket. You are nothing to him, and as spittle to the Lord. If you are Israelite, you know that you are the apple of his eye, his only begotten, his son, the children of the Lord. And therefore, you have a different responsibility than everybody else got. You got to keep these laws. Psalms chapter 147, 19 and 20 says, he showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes unto Israel. He have not dealt so with any other nation. And as far as his judgments, meaning the things that happen to you when you don't follow and keep his laws, they ain't known them. Praise ye the Most High. Do you know how hard it is to tell a nigga he been struggling and suffering his whole entire life because of the sins that he's committed following behind his forefathers? Especially when they always been told that you can go to church, or you can vote your way out of it, or you can love everybody your way out of it, instead of telling you that you got to keep and come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments, and that's the only way to get out of it. Not much different it is. It says acknowledge him in all your ways. In everything you doing, you got to understand. We say it all the time, and if you ain't never heard it, you'll hear it nice. A brother do something for another brother in his school, and the brother be like, thank you, brother. You really came through. You really helped me out. What is a brother going to say in response to that? Somebody please tell me. What's the classic UPK response? Go ahead. That's it. That's it. But it's another one that go right along with it. You might hear this one before Most High in Christ or after. Go ahead. I ain't shit. I ain't did nothing. All I did was follow the words of the Lord. If a man think himself to be something when he is not, he deceive himself. Y'all got that one? Did we pull that? We ain't even pull that, did we? Let's find that one real quick. Huh?
I think that was like the next verse in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 19.
Go back to it and get it for me. Dang it. All right, give me Galatians 6 and 3. That's it. Galatians chapter 6, verse 3. Somebody get that. Other than Officer in the Shop. Somebody else get it.
Lock it.
Go ahead.
Galatians chapter 6, verse 3. For if a man think himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself.
That's the end of it?
Not God.
For if a man think he's something when he is nothing, he's lying to himself. You ain't nothing. I ain't nothing either. You know what makes us something? Putting on the Spirit of Christ, putting on the Spirit of God, separating ourselves from every other nigga in the world, not being like anybody else, trying to be like what Christ was when he was in the earth. That's what makes us something. Keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments, doing what the Lord said, doing the work of the Lord, helping brothers and sisters who can't help themselves. As we was talking about, as we've been talking about, you got the widows, and you got the fatherless, being a father to the fatherless and a husband to the widows. This is what make you something. Other than that, you ain't nothing. Lord can move you out the way and put somebody else in the building, and it's that happened. I done seen men that was ranked above me. They ain't here no more. The men who started and brought the truth to Commanding General Yohana, they ain't here no more. Everybody understand? If you think you something just because you come in here and you get a little bit of rank, the Lord will move you right up out of it. Saul was the king of Israel. And he thought he was too good to do what the Lord said, exactly the way the Lord said it. And the Lord moved him out of the way and put King David in his place. When a man think he himself to be something, when he is nothing, he deceived himself. But now, what's the next verse say? Kevin, you got it?
Be not wise.
Keith, I mean, Salaki, I don't know how to call you Kevin. Keith, you got it? Keep going.
Khan. But let every man prove his own works.
There it goes.
And then shall he have...
Go ahead, keep going.
And then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone and not in another.
There it is. Once you get to a point where you following and keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments, and you got the Spirit of Christ on you, and you're following, and you're a part of this body, and you helping brothers and sisters, and you raising up this nation, and you telling people what the Lord said, and explaining and breaking down and counseling people and all of this other stuff. Now you're doing the work. When the Lord said he'll turn a man into fine gold, he wasn't talking about just because you a man, you this and you that and all of that. This is men of the Lord. Men that belong to the Lord, men that are adopted back in. You the sons of God. And there's a difference because all Israel ain't Israel. The scriptures say those who don't have the spirit of Christ are none of his. Right? So if a man think himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceives himself. But you prove this thing with your work. If you think you something, come do this work. Put on your all black. It was way more than 90 days before I got my Hebrew name. And I know some other brothers that's in here the same way. You had to prove yourself a little bit more. You got to change a little bit more. You got to do a little bit more. Prove yourself. Don't worry about what's going on with nobody else. Your brother's going to be doing this work. Once you do that, then you could think you something. Then you could be arrogant and all of this because it ain't you. You got the spirit of the Most High on you. Everybody understand that, right? Go back to Proverbs chapter 3, verse 6. Off in the shop.
Proverbs chapter 3, verse 6. In all thy way acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path.
Here's the key. You ain't gotta be the wisest, smartest person in the world if you acknowledge that the Lord is in control and you ain't in control of nothing. If you acknowledge that the Lord is in control and you ain't in control of nothing, then now you along for the ride. Not my will, Lord, but yours. Now you can do like Christ did. Certain things you run up on, you don't know them, like they running out of Egypt. They running out of Egypt, got an army behind them, and they have no way, and they think they finna die. And the Lord already knew that he was going to separate the water and let them walk through on dry land and swallow up the army of the Egyptians. The Lord going to take you where you need to go at, out of danger. He going to put you in a position you need to be in. Everybody understand? Acknowledge him first, and he'll direct that path. All right. Any questions so far? Go ahead, speak up, sis.
The Proverbs chapter 16, verse 18, also be a precept about time.
Proverbs chapter 16, verse what?
18.
Proverbs 16 and 18. Trey, can you give me Proverbs 16 and 18 now? It's crazy because it's a whole bunch to learn, man. And you try to be too smart, you'll never learn it. That's why I always pull out the same joint, the same scriptures to begin the class. As a matter of fact, I want to go ahead and get one after we get this precept that the sister wanted to know. If you said that your question was, is this kind of along the same lines as what I was just saying?
Come.
All right, you got it, Trey? You can't read it
right now.
All right, Con. Somebody else get it.
I got it. Proverbs chapter 16.
Salaki. Anybody else in the class besides Officer in the shop? Yamayan, I know you there. Yamayan, you got me, right? Trooper Yamayan. Go ahead and read it for me out.
Proverbs chapter 16, verse 18. Pride before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall.
Pride goeth before destruction. That's exactly what I was talking about when I pulled the ones in 1 Corinthians. If a man think himself to be something when he's nothing, he deceiving himself. And the other one that the brother pulled, if a man think he be wise among you, he got to become a fool. This is what it's all about right here. It's about humbling yourself in the sight of the Lord. What you have to know is what Christ knew. What did Christ know about what he was doing? He was performing all these miracles. What did Christ understand that kept him the man that was supposed to be in charge?
Lock you.
Go ahead.
Christ understood that he had no power unless it was given to him by the Most High himself.
Right. What's the precept? It's a couple. It's a couple of them.
Would it lock you?
Go ahead.
Would it be the Proverbs 3 and 6, where it says, "In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path"?
Yes, yes. But what I'm talking about is specifically when it comes to Christ. When I ask, what did Christ know that made him be given the power that he's giving? The Lord knew that Christ ain't never going to try to take any credit. He ain't try to take no credit. Let's go through this real quick because we got some new people in the class. I want to make sure the brother understands this. Somebody give me John chapter 5, verse 18. You got people that wake up every Sunday and anything good happen in their life or bad, anything bad happen to their life, they say it's the devil. Anything good happen to their life, they say it's Jesus. Where does the Most High stand in that? When does he get any credit?
So I tell you other one.
You got it?
John 5 and 18, right? Other one?
Con.
Yeah, I got it.
Go ahead.
Therefore, the Jews sought the more to kill him because he not only had broken the Sabbath, but said also that God was his father, making him equal with God.
All right, so stop right there. Stop right there. That's verse 18. You at verse 19 now, right? Okay, so Yahushua done told them that he's the son of God, and they think that's blasphemy. They also trying to accuse him of breaking the Sabbath because they ain't know it meant not to work, not to try to come up, not to do servile work on the Sabbath. But they was trying to say the brother couldn't even pick corn and eat because he was hungry. They err not knowing the scriptures and understanding the spirit behind the scriptures. The Sabbath wasn't for you to starve to death. The Sabbath was for you to get rest and to focus on the work of the Lord. So John chapter 5 and 19, Christ is getting ready to be, they seeking how they can put him to death and tangle him up in his words. And this is what he says to them. And anybody who says, this is for the people who don't understand that Christ was a man. He said that he was our brother. He said that there was only one that was good, and that was the Father in heaven. He said all of this out of his mouth. Everybody he healed, he told not to even tell nobody that I did it, because it wasn't him doing it. Go ahead and read verse 19.
Then answered Jesus and said unto them, Very, very, I say unto you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but with he is the Father do. For what thing over he does, he also does the Son likewise.
All right. The Son can do nothing of himself. Now, if the greatest man that ever walked the earth understood that he can't do nothing of himself except what the Father do in him, how you can't? You ain't walked on no water. You ain't raising the dead. You ain't healing people. Or you might be. You in the truth. But you definitely ain't doing it to the extent that the Yahushua did, where they writing it down in books and thousands of years later they still talking about it, to where people saying that you God. He said his Son can do nothing of himself except what the Father says, or what the Father is doing. Right? Give me John 14 and 10. What the sister brought out was actually something I said. Like, pride is the reason you're not able to walk in this truth. You think you know better than the Most High. You think you smarter than the men of the Lord. You think you understand things better than King David and Job and Noah. Or if you're a sister, you know better than Sarah and Ruth and all these other sisters that they put down, Rebecca and all of these people. They in here for our learning. Scriptures say what was written aforetime was written for our learning, that we may have hope. Look at black people condition today, what we going through. If these scriptures ain't the truth, if the Lord don't intervene and get us from up under these white folks, these devils, we ain't gonna get from up under them. It's gonna take the power of the Lord. It's gonna take somebody who can walk on water and who can raise the dead to raise up these nations, because we don't even know if these bones can live. Don't look like no life in them. Who y'all know besides the people that's in this class that's trying to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, that's trying to do what the Lord say? People think this thing is a game. Niggas just die every day. Somebody got the precept? Yamayan, I know you got it. Let me get Yamayan on it.
John, chapter 14, verse 10. Believest thou not that I am in the Father, and the Father in me? The words that I speak unto you, I speak not of myself, but the Father that dwelleth in me.
Stop right there. I wanted you to hold that last part. Listen, if a brother drops something real heavy on you, right? And he say something that you ain't never heard, something that sounds profound, something that, you know what I'm saying, and it gives you the light to see what the Lord really trying to do with in your life, or it gives you the understanding that you did not have. What you have to know is he's doing the same thing that Christ did. They thought Christ was an eloquent speaker and he was bringing out all this knowledge and explaining the scriptures to them and all of this. And he's telling them the words that I'm speaking, I ain't even speaking of myself. These are not even my words. You'll hear us say it all the time. My words are not my words. If I'm telling my ribs something, or my kids, or my mama, or anybody, or any men under me, these are not my words. Your whole life got to be a precept. It's got to be what the words of the Lord. So when somebody call you out to say you doing something right or you doing something wrong, you should be able to validate that with the Bible. Christ said, these ain't even my words I'm speaking. It's the Father, the Spirit of the Most High that's dwelling in me. What was that last part again, Yamayan?
He doeth the work.
I do it the works. I'm doing everything.
He doeth the work.
He doeth the works. The Most High is doing this work through us. So if you do anything great, even if you just smart, guess who made you smart? Guess who was able to create Christ and make him walk on water and have him heal the dead and have him raise up men and grab men off their jobs and go and teach people the truth that we still teaching until this day, thousands of years after they killed him. It's all the Most High. If you too proud to understand that, you're in the wrong place, because you're going to get humbled here. And if you like anything like some of the brothers that I've seen come in, you'll fall out the truth, because you can't take correction. You know every damn thing. You know everything. You smarter than the Lord. Y'all follow me? Sis, that was a good precept. That's exactly what I was talking about. If Christ, the greatest man ever walked the earth, can humble himself, why can't you? Make you think you anything. Scripture say you lying to yourself. Give me Isaiah 28, verse 9. Let's get it. Nice and strong, Mashamar. You can you got like a certain tone you got to keep. Like you can't raise your voice or nothing like that.
Not necessarily. I can be out. You hear me now?
Yeah, I just want to make sure because I got the brothers that's on the internet as well, so I want to make sure they can hear you clear. Go ahead.
Isaiah 28, verse 9. Whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast.
Whom shall the Lord make to understand doctrine, make to understand the lies, and make to understand what's really going on in the earth? This is the people that already got the milk. Now they ready to be weaned off. They ready for steak. They ready for ribs. They ready for, fruit and vegetables. They already had the milk. They got the basics. They understand that the law is not done away with. They understand that blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are the children of Israel. They understand what a man's place is in the household and what a woman's place is and why they like that is. Why did the Lord make them like that? They know that the Lord loves a certain group of people on the earth and he chose them out of all the nations. They understand this stuff. So now they're ready to understand and try to figure out what's going on with this whole thing where you coming back as a spirit in another body. Understand passing down your lineage to your firstborn son. They understand that, you know what I'm saying, a man can have more than one wife, but it'd be better if a man had no wives so he can do the work of the Lord and focus on that. These are the people that's weaned off the milk and drawn off the breast. They ready to roll. They ready to get down and start walking. They ain't arm babies no more. Keep going.
Oh my God. Verse 10. A precept must be upon precept. Precept upon precept. Line upon line. Line upon line. Here another and there another. But with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to his people.
Because precept must be upon precept. What this mean? Precept must be upon precept. The Bible ain't in chronological order. The Bible ain't in order to where how can I explain it? You can go from Genesis to Revelations and read it like a storybook, right? It don't work like that. What's happening is there is how can I put it? There is one precept in the Bible that might be way over here that you got to go to explain what you don't understand about this one. There is one thing that one prophet said that got to match up with the other prophet said for you to understand this. So if you're reading it like it's a storybook, right? You get something wrong, then now the rest of the book you got wrong because you didn't even understand that this wasn't even talking about that. Precept must be upon precept. Precept upon precept. A line in the Bible is going to be scattered. Noah might have said something that helps you understand Adam. Christ was talked about in the scriptures, but if you don't understand Christ, then you ain't gonna understand the scriptures that pertain to him. There's Old Testament Israelites that think that they following the laws, statutes, and commandments in the Old Testament, but if they don't understand Christ, they don't understand nothing. How you just gonna say, well, we ain't in the land, we ain't gotta keep this law. We ain't in the land, we gotta keep that law. We ain't gotta sacrifice the law. This was done away with. You ain't supposed to keep the Passover because we ain't in Israel. You ain't doing none of the stuff that the Lord said to do, and then you don't believe in the one sacrifice that is given for all Israel to accept. Precept got to be upon precept, man. Line upon line is going to be here a little and there a little. And the difference is we learning this thing in English. We watching this thing unfold in America, but we reading about Egypt. If you don't understand Egypt or Babylon, how you going to understand America? If you don't understand Sodom, you don't understand America, because America is spiritually Egypt and spiritually Sodom and spiritually Babylon. What was written aforetime was written for our learning, that we might have hope. Now here we is in Babylon again. Here we is in Egypt again. Here we is in Sodom again. What must we do to get out? What must we do to get out? Anybody?
So I can.
Go ahead.
We gotta come back to the Most High and keep His law, statutes, and commandments.
What you say?
We gotta come back to the Most High and keep His law, statutes, and commandments.
Yes. Yes. Okay. The reason I asked the question like I asked it is because I wanted you to tell me what we needed to do according to what another brother did. And you right. All right, let me just go ahead and break it down. The answer I was looking for is we got to obey the Lord. We got to do what he said to do. When Moses was coming out of Egypt, Moses had to do everything that the Lord said to do the way he said to do it, not how he felt like doing it, not what he thought. He could not be under his own understanding. He had to acknowledge the Lord in all his ways, and then the Lord directed his path. When Lot was coming out of Sodom, the Lord say, don't look back. Nigga, don't look back. Don't get caught up. Don't even think about this place, because it's going to be destroyed off the face of the earth, and you don't want to be a part of it. In Revelations, it said, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers in her plague, because her sins have reached up to heaven. Right? All this is in the Bible. This is what we got to do in America, and we ain't talking about leaving physically. They were leaving physically. What you have to do is leave spiritually. Stop celebrating Esau holidays. Stop trying to eat like him. Stop trying to have sex like him, where he want to have these big orgies and all this other stuff and sleep with the same sex, and a boy want to be a girl, he can be a girl. I tell people this story all the time, like where at my slave, I had a big dude, probably like, I don't know, 6'7", know what I'm saying, 250, something like that. Come in there, he got a cuts all in his pants, he got a purser on, and then a chick come in, he dressed like a girl, she dressed like a dude. He says to her, what's going on, dude? And she like, what's up, sis? This way we living at. Now, can you get from around these type of people? Nah, you go, they everywhere. What you have to do is lead the mindset of understanding that this thing is not like what America portrays it to be. They think you should have a right to do whatever you want to do, and the Lord said not so with his people. So once you understand that you are his people, now you can make the decision of following to do what he's saying to do, not what you want to do. Can't do what you want to do and be an Israelite. Can't do what feels good and be an Israelite. You can't do what you like to do and be an Israelite. You got to do what thus saith the Lord. That's the only way. Now we learning this thing in English, and it was written in Greek. It was written in Hebrew. So now we got to go back, look at translation. Did they do this right? Did they say this? Because the people who translated, you got to remember, they was Christians. In 1611, they was Christians. They wasn't Hebrew Israelites. They believed in the Trinity. They believed in all the stuff that they teach in the Christian church, because that was created in 325 AD at the Council of Nicaea. So they had plenty of time to spread that propaganda throughout the earth. So now, this is what it's saying right here, where it say, with stammering lips and another tongue was the Lord going to speak to his people. He is giving brothers the information they need. That's why we go into the Hebrew. We look up the Strong's numbers. We learn how to read the Hebrew. We look it up in the Bible dictionary so you can get context. We go back and find historical data that match up with what it is, because we learning this thing in a foreign land, in a foreign language. You start telling people that that the Lord is against Christmas, they're going to think you crazy. That's Jesus' birthday. What are you talking about? It ain't in the Bible. All people don't understand anything. Why don't they understand anything? Somebody tell me why. Very simple.
Shalakia.
Go ahead.
Because the Most High don't want them to get it.
Say it again.
Because the Most High doesn't want them to get it. He doesn't
Most
want them to
High
understand.
Christ. That's the answer. That's the hard truth that don't nobody want to accept. Y'all don't believe me, do you? Jeremiah chapter 5. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 5. Let's see. Not only why don't the Most High want them to get it? Let me make sure that we got an understanding on that. Why don't the Most High want them to get it? Go ahead.
If I may, I don't want to paraphrase it, because they have rejected it. So he's rejecting them.
Yes, exactly. Because they didn't have the opportunity to get it right over and over again. That grace that the Lord has, that grace period that you get, at some point your time run out. And the Lord, you prove to the Lord who you are. And you don't have no intentions on ever following him. The sacrifice been made 2,000 years ago. Now, once you come into the truth and you understand it, and you still want to do your own thing, and you still want to act like don't nobody know what's going on with you, like ain't nobody see me smoke this weed, ain't nobody see me sleep with this whore, ain't nobody see, the Lord sees everything. And you're going to be punished. Not because you don't know the truth, because you do. I wanted to go off into that precept. Let's get Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 21. Go ahead, Doc.
Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 21. Hear now this, O foolish people, and without understanding, which have eyes and see not, which have ears and hear not.
Stop right there. Hear now this, O foolish people. Who is this foolish people he talking to? Go ahead. Israel. The Lord's chosen people. Oh, foolish people. Without understanding. What is understanding? According to the Bible, what's understanding? I know my Shamar know this. Go ahead. The law, statutes, and commandments are your understanding. What's the precept? Go ahead.
Deuteronomy 7 and 6.
That's not it. Somebody else know? Go ahead.
1 John 5 and 3.
What's 1 John 5 and 3 say?
For for the love of God that we keep His commandments. The commandments are not written.
Nah. Give me Deuteronomy 4 and 6. Give me Deuteronomy 4 and 6. Let's get it. Anybody got any questions about our brothers going to Deuteronomy 4 and 6 on what we talking about? What's the point in all this? What am I trying to give you? Go ahead. What is tonight's topic? What is this about?
Deuteronomy.
Hold on. What's tonight's topic? Anybody know?
Shalakia.
Go ahead.
Esau and his holiday Veterans Day.
I ain't brought up Esau. I ain't brought up Veterans Day. Where you get that from? That's what you want.
I just remember it was one of the first days you said at the beginning, right before we got it.
That's not what the topic is. That's not what the topic is. See, y'all probably think I'm all over the place. Go ahead.
Believe the Most High and don't use your own understanding.
Yes, this topic is about understanding. It's about understanding the scriptures. It's about understanding your role as an Israelite. It's about understanding your place in this earth. It's about understanding why the white man is over you. It's about understanding what you're supposed to be doing. This is why we're reading Deuteronomy chapter 4 and 6 right now. I asked the brother, what it said, this is a foolish nation, void of understanding. I say, well, what's the understanding that we void of? What we missing? Why we got to be foolish? Ain't we not the smartest people on the earth? Don't we not run fastest, jump the highest? What do you mean by we foolish and we void of understanding? What's the understanding? The brother said, the law, statutes, and commandments. Here's the precept. Go ahead and read it, Trey. You can read now, right? Salakia, just for the record, I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Salakia. Go ahead.
It was just loud in the car.
I'm just messing with you. You already know.
Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 6. Keep therefore and do them.
Go back up to verse 5. Go back up to verse 5.
Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgment, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whether ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nation, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
You see that? The things that are in this Bible is the wisdom of the Lord. Remember, when we went through and say, if a man think himself to be wise among you, or it seem like he knows something, let him become a fool. What we didn't get was the wisdom of this world is foolishness to the Lord. I think I said it, but we ain't go to it. The understanding and the wisdom that we talking about today is the wisdom to keep and do what the Lord said to do. The law, statutes, and commandments. Moses said, I have given to you today all the stuff you're going to need, your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of all the other nations. What's supposed to happen is they supposed to look at us and say, oh, these brothers won't even charge usury to their brother. They refuse to kill each other. They refuse to sleep with another man's wife. They refuse to serve other gods like our gods. They refuse to, all of these things that the Lord then laid out for us on how we supposed to treat each other, things we supposed to eat, not eat, different things like that. Even if you don't believe that you should follow it, this is what the other nations are supposed to be saying. Surely this is, what did it say? Read it again, Trey.
a wise and great Shalakia. Surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
Surely this great is a wise and understanding people. There's some more to that. Ain't there some more to that? What great nation or something like that? Yeah, let's get that.
Verse 7. For what nation is there so great, who hath God so nigh unto them, as the Lord our God is in all things that we call upon him for?
All right, so stop right
And
there.
what nation?
No, stop right there. This is what they supposed to be saying about us. This is what they supposed to be saying. What they saying now is we super predators. Is that we criminals. Is that we don't have any type of morality and all of this other stuff. And you know why? Because we've learned their ways. We've went against the law of the Bible. We've went against the laws. We've went against our own culture, and we've taken upon the culture of the devil. We've taken the culture of the other nations, right? What's wrong with that? Somebody tell me what's wrong with that. It's sitting here saying right here in Deuteronomy 4 and 6 that these people are supposed to hear our laws and be like, what great nation got the Lord so close to them that he do everything they ask for, that he get them everything they need. This is what's supposed to be happening. That's not what's happening, though. I don't see that in my hood. I don't see Donald Trump and all these devils looking at us and saying this is a great nation with a lot of wisdom and a lot of understanding. I see them trying to make it seem like our brothers that's coming running from the terrible governments that they live in Mexico and in South America to try to get freedom from another devil that hate them even more. This is where we at. Like, you would think they would look at how they treating so-called Mexicans over here in America and say these people should not come here. They ain't hear what the president said, what got him elected, and they coming here. They must be in a bad situation. So we in that bad situation. What got us there? Why are they not saying that? Go ahead.
Because we didn't keep the law, statutes, and commandments.
Because we didn't keep the law, statutes, and commandments. That's why. Because they teach that the law is done away with, and we don't got to keep that no more. So instead of us getting the blessings of the Lord that we supposed to get, we getting the curses that the Lord putting on us for not keeping and following his laws. You understand? All right. So instead of the other nations saying what great nation this is and all of this other stuff, right? This is what the Lord is saying. Be back to Jeremiah chapter 5, 21. Whoever was reading. Go ahead.
I just wanted to make sure in that scripture, Deuteronomy 4 and 7, what does the word nigh mean?
Close.
Close?
Yes.
Kind of. Water.
Anytime you don't know what a word means, just go ahead. Feel free to look it up. What you're going to want to get is King James Bible, a 1611, if you can find one. If not, the regular King James version with a you can go ahead and buy an Apocrypha to go with it. I got a 1611. It's got the King James version with the Apocrypha in it. Either one is going to be the same thing. You also want to get you a Bible dictionary. Most of us in the school use the Zondervan Bible dictionary. They have like Strong's. They have all types of different Bible dictionaries. You might want to get a Zondervan. If you can't find the word in the Zondervan Bible dictionary, you can always look it up in the Strong's. You can get you a concordance, or you can go to the Blue Letter, and it'll take you back to the word is in Hebrew, and it'll also give you the definition. All right, so those are some of the things that you always want to have when you come into class. It's a reason why we say that this is the Israelite school. It's like you going to school. You always want to take notes. You always want to have a pen and a pad. You always want to ask questions. And that was a good question. But what'll happen is you could continue to come to class. You would have already been Googling that word or looking up that word to see what nigh means. But it just means close. All right.
The water.
Ayanda Bar. Go ahead. That was Itazar.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was going to add that you can also go to www.ihbk.com. You click the menu, the drop-down menu on the top left. You'll see, I believe it says study tools, or it says classes or something like that. And then under it says study tools. And you click on study tools, and it'll show you a list of all the books and whatnot that we use to study, like the Zondervan, the Webster Dictionary and whatnot. You know, that's very helpful. Always go to this website, you know what I'm saying, for a lot of things you need.
All right. Yeah, the brother's right on it. What I gave you, Keith, is what you'll need to come in here and learn. All of those books, like Zondervan, Babylon to Timbuktu, and Who is Esau, Who is Edom, and all of these different books that you can get into, is when you want to really get down and you starting to learn or get into a position to teach. All right, but to come in here and learn, the main thing you want to have is a 1611 or a regular King James version, or Apocrypha, a Bible dictionary, a concordance. All right. All right, so in Deuteronomy chapter 4, he said that this was our wisdom and our understanding in the sight of the nations. Now let's go back to Jeremiah chapter 5, where the nations are supposed to be saying to us that we are wise and understanding people if we would listen to the Lord and do what he said to do. But we didn't. So now in Jeremiah 5, this is what the Lord is saying about us. Go ahead and read verse 21 again. Whoever was reading it before, I think it was Mashamar, Trooper Mashamar. You guys on mute up?
Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 7.
Verse 21. Jeremiah. Who was reading Jeremiah chapter 21? I mean, chapter 5, verse 21. Who is that?
I have it.
Go ahead, read that.
Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 21. Hear now this, O foolish people.
Did he talk about Israel? Instead of them saying that they're a wise and understanding nation, he's saying, hear now this, O foolish people, without understanding. You don't have the laws. You foolish. Go ahead.
Which have eyes and see not, which have ears and hear not.
So you got eyes and you can't see. You got ears and you can't hear. Now, is this talking about physically? This man, you got eyes but you blind. You got ears but you deaf. Is that what it's talking about?
No, I don't know.
Well, what is it talking about, Mr. I don't say Salakia?
Salakia, I don't know about that.
Nah, go ahead. What is it talking about?
It's talking about the laws, I don't know. Like, that's what it's talking about, right?
It is talking about the laws. You heard the laws. You heard what the Lord said to do, but you ain't listening. You seen how you're supposed to live this life and how you're supposed to conduct yourself, but you ain't seeing it. You ain't doing it. You don't understand it. You don't get it. That's what he's saying. You don't get it. Oh, foolish people, without understanding. The laws are here. Moses already gave them to you. You looked at them and you turned your eyes. You heard them and you decided to ignore them. Go ahead to verse 22.
Oh, God. Fear
That's a question mark. You mean to tell me y'all don't fear me? Who's saying this? Read the next part.
So, God says the Most High.
Y'all niggas ain't even scared. Y'all doing whatever y'all want to do, and y'all acting like I will not take you off the face of the earth. What's wrong with y'all? Y'all don't fear me? I created the heaven and earth. You mean to tell me you don't fear the Lord? Keep going.
So, God, will ye not tremble at my presence, which have placed the sand for the bounds of the sea by the particular
perpetual
decree,
which have placed the sand by the bounds of the sea by the perpetual decree. Meaning, you know where the beach where the water meets the sand? He's saying, I'm strong enough to say where the water stops at. And just off my word, the water is not going to go any further. This is the power that set the bounds of the sea. Just by him saying it. Keep going.
Oh, God. That it cannot pass it. And so, be ways before and though the waves therefore toss themselves, yet can they not prevail? Though they roar, yet can they not pass over it?
At the same time, if there was what they call it, a tsunami, can be killed by this wave. But yet with the Lord tell it to stop right there, that's as far as it's gonna go. Everybody follow that, right? Even fear, they don't even fear the God that's powerful enough to make these decree to tell the ocean where to stop at. Foolish people. Let's keep going. Verse 23.
Oh God. But these people have a revolting and a rebellious heart. They are not revolted and gone.
Read that again, huh? They are what?
They are revolted and gone.
But this people, this foolish people without understanding, they got a revolting heart. They got a rebellious heart. They got too much pride to follow me because they know every damn thing. They know more than the Most High. They know more than the prophets. Y'all see where we at, where we supposed to be? We supposed to be a wise and understanding people in the sight of the nations, but we are foolish people. What made us foolish is our pride. We can't humble ourselves. How you going to be drawn from the breast and weaned from the milk if you can't sit down and get the milk? These people have a revolting and rebellious heart. They gone, man. They out of here. They ain't even nowhere close to where they supposed to be at. Go ahead to verse 24.
Oh God. Neither say they in their heart, let us now fear the Most High our power, that giveth rain, both the former and the latter, in his season. He reserveth unto us the appointed weeks of the harvest. Your iniquity has turned away these things, and your sins have withholden good things from you.
Now, if you don't understand anything, if you don't understand anything in this Bible, you need to understand this. All right? This last part that it said, the reason you're on the bottom, the reason the other nations are not saying what great and wise nation that the Lord is nigh unto them, that the Lord is close to them, that whatever they need, he makes sure they have. The reason that is because we turned away from the Lord. It says in Deuteronomy 28, I don't know what verse it is. It's probably somewhere around 48, 50, 60, something like that. That you would be in want, you would serve your enemy in hunger and in thirst and in want of all things. We go into all these other nations to buy everything we need. Ain't no black people I know how to make toilet paper, know how to refine minerals, know how to do anything with the water. We got to go to our enemies for that. That's because we rebelled against the things that the Lord told us to do. Told us to learn not the ways of the evil. Now we saying it say, neither say there in their heart, let us now fear the Lord our power that giveth rain, but the former and the latter in his season. He reserveth unto us the appointed weeks of the harvest. The Lord told us when to plant stuff, when to not plant us, when to reap the harvest, how to reap the harvest, what part to set aside for the poor, all these things, but we ain't following none of this. And the things that we're not doing that the Lord told us to do, in verse 25, it says, your iniquities have turned away these things, and your sins have withholding good things from you. How many people are able to put aside their pride and what they think and their own understanding and learn what the Lord wanted for you to really be, how he really wanted you to be living your life? What if it's something you totally against? But the Lord said to do it. Pride cometh before destruction. The Lord does not, he resisteth the proud. The Lord needs you to humble yourself, just like Christ humbled himself. Why are you calling me good? There's none good but one, and that's the Most High. The Lord is in me. That's why I'm able to do all of this stuff. It's him doing the works. You want to take the credit? You want to be something? Go ahead. The same thing that happened to Pharaoh, that'll happen to you. The same thing that happened to Moses, who led the children out of Israel, but didn't even make it to the promised land because he got pissed off and made it like he was the one bringing the water from the rock and not the Lord. Same thing that happened to David, because he had all the wives that he wanted to have, but yet and still he wanted to go take another man's wife and send him in the war. Same thing that happened to Solomon when he broke the law of the Lord by going and getting all these strange wives that the Lord told you not to marry. So on and so forth. Everybody get it, right? They love themselves more than they love the Lord. We love ourselves more than we love the Lord, and it's withholding good things from us. It's the reason why we're not looked at by the other nations as this wise and understanding people that the Lord is close to. Till we change that, we're going to always be on the bottom. We're going to always be serving our enemies in hunger and in thirst and in want of all things, because we want to be like them. We don't want to be what we are. We are the children of the true and living God who created heaven and earth. We are not those people. Everybody follow me. So now, that being said, let's go ahead and get it. Proverbs chapter 4. We're going to go back to Proverbs. Now, when we went to Deuteronomy 4 and 6, we was talking about wisdom and understanding. This is your wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nation. These laws, statutes, and commandments, right? So the wisdom is the law, statutes, and commandments and doing them. The understanding is being able to know why you're doing them and how they help you. You ain't gonna always understand everything, but have the wisdom to still do what the Lord said. because your obedience is the more important than even if you know it. If you understand and know it, you like, I had somebody try to break it down to me. Yeah, I understand why we shouldn't eat shellfish because they make this, that, or the other, and it puts this into your body, and the poison causes this, and your heart rate speeds up, and all this in a scientific method. How about the Lord said, don't do it? I ain't doing it. How about that? That's wisdom. They ain't understanding, but that's wisdom. Thou shalt not. Why I got to go all the way to New York to the Passover? Because the Lord said so. See, when you get an understanding, you like, this is brotherhood. You ain't going to get it nowhere else. It's a chance for us who do this work to see each other and this, that, or the other, and remember when the Lord, that's understanding. But the wisdom, the Lord said do it, so I'm going to do it. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 5, Trooper Yamayan. Go ahead and read it for me.
Proverbs chapter 4, verse 5. Get wisdom, get understanding, but get it not. Neither decline from the words of my mouth.
Stop right there. Get wisdom, meaning these laws, statutes, and commandments. Get understanding, meaning what Christ came to break down the spirit behind it. Forget it not. That means these things are never going to be done away with and always going to be relevant. Neither decline from the words of my mouth. You always got to remember what the Lord said about it. It don't matter about your feelings. The Lord said about it. Who cares what you think? Who cares how you feel? What the Lord said about it. Neither decline to hear the words of my mouth. Keep going.
Forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee.
Forsake her not. It's talking about this wisdom, these laws, statutes, and commandments, and she's going to preserve you. When everybody else around you is dying, when everybody else around you don't have no hope, when everybody else around you is begging and pleading with Esau to love them, knowing they won't. This is what is going to preserve you in times of trouble. These laws, statutes, and commandments. Love her, and she shall keep thee. It'll get to a point where you love keeping the laws of God. If you just try it, when you first hear about it, you're like, oh, man. Honey baked ham? I got to get that up. Oh, man, going to the strip club? I got to get that up. Weed, not my beloved weed. You'll get to a point in your life where you understand that you are saving your life. You saving your family's life. You saving your children's life. The people that's around you are in better shape because you keep the laws, statutes, and commandments. You'll never steal from them. You'll never kill them. You'll never deal with their wife. This is what's going to keep you. This is the wisdom in the sight of the other nations. And what does it say about wisdom in verse number 7?
Wisdom is the principal thing.
Read it again.
Wisdom is the principal thing.
This is the first thing you got to understand. This is basic. These laws, statutes, and commandments is the basics that you need to understand. It's a principal thing. So go ahead.
Therefore, get wisdom.
Therefore, learn these laws. Therefore, learn what you was doing wrong. So that way you'll understand why you going through what you're going through. Get wisdom. Go ahead.
With all thy getting, get understanding.
And while you getting that wisdom, find some understanding for why the Lord said we shouldn't do this. Why the Lord said don't follow the customs of the other nations. Why the Lord said don't eat like them. Why the Lord said don't be like the Egyptians. Why the Lord said all of these different things. That's the understanding. But you got to be weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast in order to get that. That's learning these precepts. That comes with time. That comes with seasoning. That comes from sitting in class. That comes with learning how to shut up. That comes with learning how to ask the right questions. That comes with keeping you a notebook. That comes with having all the tools that's necessary for you to grasp this truth. And that's what makes you understand it. But you, even with all of that, if you ain't got the spirit of the Lord, you're just wasting your time. Go on off and do whatever you want to do. Don't worry, you won't be no different from the people that he was talking about in Isaiah. I mean, in Salakia and Jeremiah, where he said, "O foolish nation without understanding, which have eyes and don't see, that don't even feel, a revolting and rebellious heart." They rather do what they want to do than what the Lord want to do. That's why our people is in the situation we in. But us in the ISUPK and the Commanding General Yohana, in the spirit of Christ, we're going to wake up our brothers and sisters, and we're going to get us from up under this white man back in the rulership, which is heaven, and in the good graces and nigh unto the Lord, close to where he wants us to be at. Everybody understand, right? Anybody got any questions? Go ahead, good boy. Trooper, good boy.
Did you ever get the answer to my question Saturday, or do I have to wait Saturday again?
It's the one that you asked about. It's the one that you asked about. That I had Trooper Yamayan send me.
You mean
You're talking about Genesis, the iniquity of the Amorites? So I thought that was a sister's question. Which question are you talking about, Salaki?
Remember the question about the 1044? I was asking, is it are they gonna rule forever, or is it gonna be like when they die, do they become rule the kingdom again, in reincarnation, or do they feed get that power or something?
Okay. Nah, Salakia, I didn't get that answer. To be honest with you, I thought I answered it with the precepts, but I was supposed to double check and make sure that what I was saying was correct. So no, I didn't get that answer yet. Salakia, the water for bringing it back up by the next class. All right, Lord allow. All right, anybody else got any questions? All right, with that, I'm going to turn the class over to Priest and Officer Nishak.
You are the ISUPK, Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. We are under Commanding General Yohana. We are not affiliated with any other Hebrew Israelite group.